Hello, everyone. How's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's resume our beginner's guide here to Frostpunk, shall we? And we're just about to kind of start day 2. You can see there's about 3 hours left in day 1. And before we get there, I have the game pause, like I always do in this when I want to talk. By the way, you can rotate the camera with Q&E. I don't think I mentioned that before, but it is in the tutorial up here for camera controls. And it can be, I like to basically just keep it at this fixed orientation so that I can always know my way around. But sometimes if you want to build something and see something more closely, it's useful to kind of rotate the camera a bit like this. So just pointing that out to you. You can also hold the middle mouse button to get that same effect. Now, if you push V or click on the economy button, we can get a bunch of information that's very useful breaking down. For example, you can get charts, you can get facts and figures about your different resources. So right here on the right of this window, you see our coal balance. You see that we're getting 540 coal per day, but the generator is only consuming 144 per day. So this white portion of the bar is the consumption, and then the green portion is how much we're actually producing over consumption. So we have a surplus. Now that looks good, but if you were playing, maybe a different kind of builder like an Anno or something, you'd be like, okay, well, I have way too much, so let me scale that back and focus my attention elsewhere. This isn't the kind of game that you can do that in, because you need to be focusing on coal and food, and things can change that will drastically impact how much coal you have. So even though you're making more than you can have, you want to be doing that, and it's not inefficient to do that until you can't store anymore. So you can look at your stockpiles and you can see, well, I only can hold 900 coal, and you can also see right here, it does tell you how much you're producing of each resource per day. So you don't have to go into each building. You can get a net aggregate over here by either clicking on your stockpile or looking at your economy and then going through each different resource on the tabs to the left. So you can see your wood, 118 per day, and that is from people who are working out of this gathering post, and also the people we have specifically assigned to the wood crates. So that's a good way to kind of get a feel for, all right, how am I going to do today? And coal is something where you just almost can't have too much of it. You really can't. If your stockpile was full, that'd be fantastic. But you're going to go through it so fast and so much that that's not a bad thing. Now, that being said, you don't want to completely ignore your other resources, and right now we're going to be shifting our focus. So we still have 80 homeless people, and if I go over to health status, nobody's sick, mercifully, but with food, we're consuming 80 food per day, 1 for each person, but we make none. We don't even gain any food, and we have 100 food in storage. So we're going to eat through our food in a day. That's not good. So we want to address that by pushing B to build, and then going to the food tab and building a hunter's hut. Now we've already built a cookhouse, so we can begin turning this raw food into food rations. And if I mouse over the standard meal in the cookhouse will produce 4 food rations from 2 raw food. So right now, they will basically double raw food production. And that is a beautiful thing, but it's closed right now. It won't open until 0800 hours. 8 a.m. All right, so I'm going to unpause it and just kind of, watch them meander. And it's really slow. You could see it's just a cool part of the game. I like to do this in all of these management games, just watch people, and they're just standing around maybe trying to rally their spirits while they have free time, clapping, singing, or whatever, and keeping things high because we just started out, and at least we have the generator going, so that's something. But they need houses, and they need food, but I love watching them work. It just makes or play or whatever. It makes a real living community. But I can also push 2 and 3 and just speed this up. Pass the day, pass the night. Now they're telling us about illness and healthcare. And this brings you a tutorial about, sometimes it doesn't always pop up correctly. This is the food thing, but down here is illness. So we have people who have gotten sick, and this is because it's cold. So, if people are out, they don't have a house, and this increases the likelihood that they get ill. So we have 2 people that are sick. Now, you can see how on the bottom in the center of the heads-up display, there's the medical first aid icon, and that's just like, hey, people are sick. It tells you the number. It lists sick and then gravely ill below that. So nobody's going to die, but they're not feeling good. Now, when people get sick, they can't work. So you'll see, like, some of these workplaces, I don't know if it will wait to reflect this until the next day, but people might be assigned here, but they can't actually come to work because they're trying to get over their cold. And we're going to need to push B, and we're going to need to go to health and build a medical post to provide a place for these people to convalesce. All right, so let's go ahead and just keep going. I mean, we can't do anything about it right now. We have no wood. We have no supplies to redress that, so we just have to keep waiting. Now, the game will automatically slow down when a new day begins, and then you can just speed it back up. And now everybody's going to go to work. I've got to hold on. People are depending about me, and they're telling you about the day and night cycle. And again, the in-game tutorials are very, very helpful. This is breaking down, okay, people sleep here. People then have a little bit of free time when they wake up before work. Then they work until 6, and then they have free time here. Now, you see how it says right here, they finish their shift at 1800 hours, 6 p.m., and then they're free to help with construction so they can build stuff. But if they do that, which, you have a lot of stuff planned for people to build, then people get tired and they can't eat on time. And so it just ebbs and flows when you need to build stuff. Some days you don't build a lot and people can get to sleep, relax on time. Other times they can't. This isn't a game, though, where you're really, like, worried about managing people's happiness. You know how in some builders they have ever-increasing levels of, like, demands and sophistication. In this, you're just managing discontent and hope. And it's so bleak that just baseline survival, for the most part, is good. And then later game, we'll get into some stuff, to help them out, having fighting arenas and things like that to provide some entertainment. But it's really low on the pecking order because surviving is just so critical as the situation is dire. All right, now we have 3 sick people, and people are going to work. So we have to have them keep going. That little, like, horn basically indicates that the workday has begun. All right, so we know in the lower left, you can see we need to still build houses within 2 days and a child shelter also. So we got to get wood to do that. Now, luckily, we're getting a lot of wood. You can see our wood has already gone up. So I'm going to push B, and right away, we're going to just build some stuff. So we need to build people, and we need to build tents. And we got to build these tents as close to the generator as possible. So when I click to build the tent, or any building for that matter, you'll see the radius of heat that the generator is providing. Now, nothing can go into the innermost circle, so we can just kind of drag these tents and build them, and you want to build them as close as possible right now to get people heat. Each tent can hold 10 people, so we only promised 4, so I'm going to focus on that right now just to keep the promise, and we're going to build 4. And then I'm going to right-click to cancel that. Then I'm going to go to Child Shelter. It needs 20 wood and 5 steel, which we have. And I'm going to build the Child Shelter, and we will build it within the heating range. Keep the kids warm. Okay. And we'll put it right there. Now, you can see that this is not the most efficiently placed, but I don't know if I could have moved that much to the right or to the left, but that's okay. And now we have 15 wood free, and I'm going to go to food, and we need 20 wood for a hunter's hut, so I'll unpause it, and then quickly I'm going to build a hunter's hut. Now, here's the thing about the hunter's hut. Let me see if it tells you in the mouse over. Hunters hunt every night, venturing beyond the city to track the prey in the frozen wasteland. They provide up to 15 raw food per day. Now, what this means is they will go outside. They climb up, or somehow they get up this embankment, and then they might use ropes or whatever, however we got down here, to get outside, and they will go hunt out here and then come back. What this means, though, is that they do it at night and they do not need heat. So you can put the hunter's hut really far away and not take up valuable interior real estate. But when you go to build this, and you can see this more easily at a top-down view, you see how there's this coal icon here, or if I move over here, there's an icon for a grappling hook. That's for scouts, recon, and then there's coal over here, there's steel, there's trees. So these are like telling you that in this white striped area, there are resources that we don't have the technology yet to harvest, but we can get it later. So what that means is do not build there or you will block access to that. So the game will tell you that, and you can just you can't go there, but this is about as far away as we can go. And I can build one hunter's hut here, and then, now this is going to take a lot of wood, and we don't have enough wood, so we have to wait till we get enough to build the street over there. And then there we go. And then now I'm going to build a street to connect this like this. There. Okay, so what I did was I used a ton, and you could see, actually, look at this. We have 5 days worth of coal, and when you look at the top of the heads-up display and the ribbon that displays your resources, the bar below the coal, for example, is getting red because that tells you visually you are filling up how much you can actually hold. So at this point, we can say, all right, you people who are working at this, I'm going to say nobody work over here, and then everybody focus on wood to get more wood because we're going to fill up our coal. Now, granted, we're consuming coal, and it's a delicate balancing act that you will figure out as you play, which is why you kind of have to pause, and you're always readjusting the balance in this. Yes, we're about to fill up our coal, which is tremendous, but as soon as people stop working, which is in 50 minutes, then this will no longer be filling up and will only be going down. So that is worth mentioning. Now, also, I'm going to click away. When this button turns blue, the Book of Laws, that means we can pass a new law. So I can click on this. The only laws that we can pass right now are adaptation. And so let's go into this. And we signed child shelters. Now, we could go further along this tree and allow the kids to become either medic apprentices or engineer apprentices. If we want, so you can kind of train the kids to go help out, make them, skilled labor, and then they apprentice kind of. You could do that. But I think instead we want to look at some other options that are closer to the center. The cemetery is great, but we haven't had anybody die yet, mercifully. And this is the medical area, radical treatment, sustain life. And then this is eating, which is like soup and stuff. But I'm going to go to emergency shift. So this is unpopular. It raises discontent. It tells you in the red in the bottom right what this will do. But it's such a beautiful piece of functionality to be able to say, hey, you know what? You need to work 24 hours because we're going to run out of coal. And it's better to have people slightly upset than to run out of a resource that you need that's vital. So we're going to sign this law. Unfortunately, in this game, you cannot avoid at all times discontent. I wanted to do that at first. I'm like, oh, well, it's going to kind of make them upset, so I really don't want to trend in that direction. You just can't get away with that. You're always going to be making people upset with some of your decisions. Your goal is to just minimize that, and then later you're going to get opportunities and abilities to kind of mitigate discontent. So I'm going to sign this law. And when we do it, immediately you could see that, people will not like this. Discontent, there's a controversial law that has been passed. But, it's not as major as the lack of shelter. So even though we did that, and it's not popular, it's not going to... okay, now it didn't go into effect yet, but it hit us. This is early on that this happens, and it's just the reality, and we'll have to deal with it. Now, yeah, she says 24 hours, that's insane, but it's our lot. I mean, you don't have to do it all the time, but now that you've passed it, you can click on the gathering post, for example, And then the abilities that you unlock show up here as buttons on the top portion of this window. So if I click on Gathering Post, I have it selected, and on the right in this panel, I can click Emergency Shift, which means people have to work for 24 straight hours, and then they will just keep providing the resources there. It will raise discontent when you do it, and these people might get wrecked. They're more likely to get sick and stuff, but sometimes, drastic times call for drastic measures, and you have to. Especially early on, we don't really have a foothold yet. Now, you'll notice that my workers depleted this stockpile. All of the crates that we found here from the whatever settlement was here that has left, or whatever happened to these people, we used it up. So now we have, as you can see in the bottom right, 15 idle workers. So I'm going to put all 15 of those on steel currently. But tomorrow what we're going to do is build another gathering post that's over here that allows people to start gathering freely at these resources. These are temporary, and that's another brutal aspect of this game. It's not like you just set up, and this resource pile is going to last you for the whole game. This stuff is limited and will thin out quickly. All right, so we can go ahead into building, and we're going to go into resources, and I am going to build another gathering post, and we'll just kind of get it right in between all of this stuff. You want to make it so everything can be reached. I can't put it in a place where it's like they can get all this stuff, but I can put it here, and then we can connect it with a road like so. And then that'll be planning for tomorrow. And then we have nobody's going to gather any more resources, so we have to wait. Now look at this. Discontent lowered. Why is that? Because people have a house. So you see that these tents finished, and that has helped people become happier. The discontent is lowering. And if we can get that fourth house built, boom. Shelter promise fulfilled. So if you make a promise and you fulfill it, hope rises. So you say, okay, great. Now I'm going to pause it and just talk to you for a little bit. You could see discontent continued to go down because the fourth house got built, and then hope went up. So now we're doing much better than before. People have a place to sleep. People will be less likely to get sick. These are just tents, though. Can you imagine sleeping in a tent in -4 Fahrenheit? But you are close to the generator, so it's not that bad. And actually, if you click on the tent, you can see that it's comfortable temperature. Like, it prevents people from falling ill because they're so close to the generator. So even though these are tents, it's okay. And now people are like, oh my God, I have a place where I can sleep and I can rest, and this is a beautiful step for us. Now, if we would have decided to go full on and promise them the moon of housing everybody, we certainly probably could have done that, but we couldn't have diversified our production like we did. You see how we already built streets over here to make another gathering post. We have the hunter's hut going up and roads over there, and we built the child shelter. If we wanted to build all the houses, we would have had to kibosh some of that stuff and just focus on houses, which is fine. You can totally do that. I like just taking a more diversified approach and accepting the more modest rewards of getting the hope gain. All right? And now look at this. Because children have been cared for, people can work without worrying that something will happen to their kids, and hope rises. That's a big boost. People from our convoy, with basic resources secured for now, we could try to rescue the people we left behind, build a beacon, scout Frostland, and save as many survivors from our expeditions as possible. You'll need a workshop to design plans for more advanced buildings. So now they've given us a new quest, basically, and I'm going to pause it just to show you. It's late. Look at this. It's like near midnight, and people are still working on building. It's amazing. We don't have anybody free to labor at the moment, but I am going to immediately take people off of the steel wreckage and put all of them on hunting. So this tells you now, hunting, it's not great. It's 15 food per day. It's like 1-to-1, 15 people, 1 food per day. But at the cookhouse, they can process that and turn it into rations, and that's marvelous. Now, it looks like the one person I have assigned here is not quite able to finish everything in one day. So I'm going to peel off a person from the crates and put one more person over here. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you quite the amount of information about how fast they can work. You just kind of have to, at least that I know about, you kind of have to eyeball this to see how long it's going to take them to chunk this up. But what you can do is just toggle this on and off. And what I mean is, like, if you have no raw food to process, you can assign these people safely to go do some other job so they're not idling. But anyway, even though it's only one food to be turned into two food, remember, if we click V and we go into our food tab, we eat 80 per day. So we get 15, and then we double that to 30. That means that we need at least 3 of these hunters' huts to provide enough food for everyone to eat. So we got to build some more of those. It's a good start for us. Also, they want us to build a beacon so that we can go out and search. Now, right now, I can't move the map because I don't have a beacon. But when you build a beacon, we'll be able to scroll up and send people kind of on expeditions to go explore outside. You won't be able to build in the same way that you can build in here out there, but what it will do for us is allow us to find more people to come work and find resources and things. So this is good. I'm going to unpause it, and discontent is still lowering, and here we go. Doodle-doo. They're almost done. And we are getting a bunch more sick people, so we need to deal with that. And this place needs workers. So I'm going to take off all of the people who are on these wood crates over here, and I'm going to put them all here because this does both wood and steel. There's 2 wood piles and steel, and it's better to put people at work at the gathering post than at the pile specifically because they will keep working when it's depleted, and it keeps them warmer than just like, you know, working at, you see how the wood crates are this cold, but then the gathering post is provides some heat for them, so it's much better conditions for them to work at. Now there's 2 coal piles over here, a coal pile, and some steel over here, so we will probably end up building, you know, a gathering post here and here to access these later. And then once these are depleted, we might just destroy our gathering post. Now you can click to dismantle the building, and when you do that, it's this house with an X button, and it tells you you're going to get 12 wood and 4 steel back. So if I want to build a gathering post, it's 15 wood and 12 steel, so it's actually a really good reclamation rate that you get back, and it opens up real estate that is going to be closer to your generator, perhaps. All right, we're going to unpause it. I'm going to go back to max speed. Yeah, and people will like occasionally just give you some chat where they tell you like their thoughts and their feedback. You know, we survived another night. We can make it. You know, so there's a little bit of optimism going. You can actually see that. Like, our hope is good. Everything on our hope right now is blue, which is positive. There's no red negatives. Discontent is getting better, but we do need to address the medical stuff. So, coal pile depleted. And what that means is we don't have anybody. Let's just hold Alt and see. Make sure I got nobody on piles. I do still have... No, we've turned off everybody from piles, but I have 18 people free because that coal pile was directly allocated. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just max this temporarily just to get all the food done while I'm looking for labor to assign people. And I'm going to immediately prioritize a gathering post for coal because, again, coal is life. So we're going to put it right here. And I don't have enough wood yet to deal with it, but now I do, I think. We'll see. There you go. And remember, even though it might look like it, you don't have to worry about it as much. In the sense of, yes, I built a street right here, but it like you can fit it right in between or very close behind tents, and it doesn't take up that much space. I'm going to click on this. And it says, a word of advice, resource shortage. We're getting short on resources. Our needs are great and growing by the hour. To address this, we can enact a law that will allow us to extend working hours. So they're telling us we can do the emergency shift, which we already did, but we can also go to extended shift, which means you can give people overtime. It's not as brutal as 24 hours. It's like they don't have free time as much. Discontent will raise slightly, but it's a way to just like produce more in a day if you're interested. But what I'm going to do actually is go over here, and it's hard to tell you some of this stuff because it's not necessarily spoilery, but it's based on my own knowledge that you might. One of the best things I could tell you about how to succeed in this game is that you cannot be reactive in Frostpunk. You have to be proactive. You can't wait till something is wrong and then try to fix it because you usually don't have enough time. So what I mean by that is, like, if we wanted to go over here to the food section and click on soup. So this says we can cook soup instead of full meals to feed more people with the same amount of food. And hope falls slightly, discontent will rise slightly, and then when we pass it, and then eating it will cause discontent. So it's not popular. But, and I'm not going to even use it right now because we have enough food. But if we start starving, I want to be able to switch to this immediately to like make soup and push through. It's much better to have a little bit of discontent than to starve to death. So you kind of need to plan for the future of what could go wrong. So I'm going to sign this bill. They are not going to like it. You see, hope immediately falls. But when I click on the cookhouse, you see that it switches over to soup, and this tells you it's going to produce 5 food rations from 2 raw food, but instead I'm actually going to switch it back to standard meal. It default changes it to soup, so you need to know that, and I come back and I switch it over to standard meal. Anything to calm the growling stomach, just like in London. Here we are, reduced to poverty. Such is the price of survival. So people are like, they understand, kind of at first. So we got to watch out for that. Now, what does this say? This gathering post is inoperative because we've depleted all of the coal. So at this point, it's time to click dismantle building and get rid of it. There, we'll go fix this one now. We have 25 people who are doing absolutely nothing. And we have 12 wood. We need more wood. So I'm going to click on the wood pile. And I'm just going to assign all of my people who are free to go work at the wood piles. It's not great, but it's like, we don't want them to idle. Go do that for now. Because we need wood so that we can immediately push build. And we need to go to food. And we want to build a hunter's hut as soon as they can. We'll unpause it. Okay, great. Now we have about 40 wood, so we're going to build a hunter's hut. We're going to keep building these. Let me rotate this a little bit. I don't want to place this here because it says this is okay, but if we build it here, it says this will block an important facility. But if I put it right here, it already has street access and it won't block anything. So I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to click build again, and we're going to go to health. And we see that for the medical post, we just need 25 wood, so I'll wait about 2 seconds, and we've got it. And I'm going to click medical post. This needs to be heated, so we want it to be close, and I'll put it there. And what's this mean? The child's shelter says, a note of thanks. We just wanted to thank you. Back in London, it was only the wealthy that didn't have to send their kids to work. In this new world you're creating, we can see things will be different. That's right, although we're going to train you to be a medical professional really soon. It was the right thing to do, and hope goes up just a little bit. So, that's the benefit you get from building the child shelter. However, if you go the other way, the benefit you get is more laborers. So, it's a give and take. Okay, I got more wood, and immediately what I need to do is try to get shelters. There's really nothing more important right now than making it so people don't die. So there's some more houses. And there we go. And I'm going to assign some more houses to be built. Now, unfortunately, you will see that these houses that I'm going to build, these are not going to be warm because I have put like the medical facility and things close. So I can build these here, but these are not as desirable as some of the other places. And let's see here. Here we go. End of day. It's closed. Okay. So I'm going to peel off and go to about 2. You'll see that we actually did max out the food rations. We're going to start getting people to work over here. You cannot forget to put people on coal. Remember, always come back, check your economy, look at your coal. We're making none per day. We're only losing it. So I'm going to start taking people off of these jobs, for example, and just putting people over here. Make sure that coal is being addressed. Okay, so we are building more houses. We actually have enough houses for everybody once they get built. We're building a medical post. We have another hunter's hut that we're getting down. So we're now gathering food. We've had to destroy some gathering posts, but we finished the child shelter, and our hope and discontent are reasonable. We have a few sick people. We'll try to take care of them very soon. We've passed some laws, and we're rocking and rolling. Everyone, I think this is a good place to stop episode 2 as we, finish up day 3 here in Frostpunk. I hope you're enjoying this series and finding it to be helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. We're going to continue the series because there is so much to explain, and I will check you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.